I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, coming at you guys today with another video. And if you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. And in today's video, we are going to be bringing you guys another episode of Full Day of Going to the Movie Theater. And in this episode of Full Day of Going to the Movie Theater, I will be watching Thunderbolts, the 36th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It feels like it was just yesterday, back in 2008, when the first Iron Man movie was released in movie theaters worldwide. And we have come a long way since the very first Iron Man movie that was released back in 2008. So the last Marvel Cinematic Universe movie that I watched was Captain America: Brave New World, and that movie was just rather meh, honestly. Or as the kids nowadays say, it was just pretty mid, right? Like, I didn't hate it when I left the theaters. It was just more like, wow, that was just really underwhelming and not very good. You know, for me, Brave New World kind of ranks in like the super forgettable, really mid-tier of Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. Like, it was basically a Hulk movie that Marvel can't do because, like, the Incredible Hulk's character rights are also with Universal Studios, if you guys didn't actually know that. And it felt like it was the Incredible Hulk sequel without the Hulk, and basically, you know, with Sam Wilson added with like a Hulk villain. That's why it ended up becoming this like just rather convoluted mess. Honestly, I could understand why people didn't think it was the worst MCU movie. I didn't think it was the worst MCU movie. I've seen plenty worse MCU movies beside that one, but it wasn't really good, and it really didn't, like, I would say, inspire me to think like, damn, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be getting back on track. So that's my general thoughts on, you know, Captain America: Brave New World. Just kind of felt like a Hulk movie script they can't do because they don't have the rights to the Hulk fully because they are tied up at Universal right now. So with Thunderbolts, the only real controversy this movie had was essentially the character Sentry, which is supposed to be Marvel Comics' Superman. They were actually going to cast, I shit you not, Stephen Young, and he was the Asian actor who was Glenn in The Walking Dead, and he voiced Mark in the Invincible animated series that's currently on Amazon right now, and it's from the Invincible comic book. So yeah, he voices Mark, right? And he was also in that movie Mayhem with Samara Weaving, but, you know, he was actually going to be Sentry. And it's like, Marvel, why do you keep doing this? So the only reason why he's not Sentry is because he apparently had scheduling conflicts and just couldn't commit to doing the role. So it ended up going to someone different, someone more like, I don't know, comic book accurate looking. You know, I don't like race swaps. I don't like gender swaps. Those are just not good. And the fact that that almost happened out of sheer just stupidity out of Marvel is like, damn, do they just enjoy failing at this point? So Thunderbolts, I don't know too much about them as far as like comic books, honestly. I have a Thunderbolts like epic collection over there, like the volume 1, but I haven't had a chance to read it yet. So this is kind of coming off like basically Marvel doing like Suicide Squad, and I'm pretty sure that's not the original intention for Thunderbolts in the comic books, but that's how like the casual moviegoer is going to feel like it is going to come off that way. Kind of like the way like the 2016 Suicide Squad movie in the trailers, the later ones outside of the non-serious ones were coming off like Guardians of the Galaxy for some reason, even though that's not really what these teams are supposed to be in that sort of feel. These kind of like separate teams from Avengers and Justice League and X-Men are supposed to have like their own different kind of feel to make them stand out. And this, you know, if people said this is going to be like Marvel comics is like Suicide Squad, I really couldn't blame you because from the surface level, it sure does look like that. So the team, like Yelena, which is like Scarlet Witch, which is supposed to be fucking hell, Black Widow, right? You know, I think Florence Pugh is a pretty cool actress. Honestly, she's some real range in her, but not as good as a Black Widow as, you know, Scarlett Johansson. Like, you have Bucky Barnes, you have Winter Soldier here. He's probably gonna be the highlight of the movie anyway. John Walker, U.S. agent, in my opinion, has been like the only character they've really honestly made good since like Far From Home, because Far From Home ends like phase 3. Like, I'll have to see how Lewis Pullman pulls off the Sentry. You have Red Guardian, he can be here for some laughs. Like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, you know, she's Valentina. She's like basically what, Nick Fury as a woman. Like, I really don't know how this team is supposed to really get anyone to be excited for the MCU. Like Ghost, like guys, Ghost was a trash villain. Like, a lot of people generally have this feeling that every single phase 1 through 3 MCU movie was really good. That's not true. That Ant-Man and the Wasp sequel to the first Ant-Man movie was absolute garbage, and Ghost was a really, really shitty villain, honestly. And you also have like Taskmaster, and it's like that Taskmaster from Black Widow was just not good. It's not even the one from the comic books. That is the Taskmaster that everyone knows and loves. It was some gender swap Taskmaster for whatever the fuck reason, honestly. But so yeah, none of these characters really kind of get you interested in watching this movie. The only one that really should get you interested in watching this movie is basically Bucky Barnes and maybe John Walker if you ended up watching like the Falcon and Winter Soldier series, actually. You know, and that's been the problem with the MCU is they went so in on their like Disney Plus MCU shows, kind of hoping that a lot of people would have just like watched those shows. And it's like, yeah, like most of the fans are going to do that. But like the average casual person, even though they're a casual, isn't going to be really interested potentially watching in shows for a bunch of characters that realistically, honestly speaking, aren't all that interesting. Like, the idea of the shows was to basically give like characters that can't really sufficiently utilize a movie and need a different form of storytelling to obviously get their character to look better and feel better in a certain way. You know, the TV show would be for them. Like, you don't always have to have a movie for every single character. You can have TV shows for certain characters, and that's what the TV shows were supposed to bring as an added layer to the MCU, basically giving characters that couldn't justify a movie, well, maybe you can justify them in a show and kind of have a different way of, you know, making this character work. None of the shows really have been good. Like, my favorite is Falcon and Winter Soldier, and, you know, even in that one, there's a lot of problems in that one too. You know, like, everyone kind of has their favorite, but most of them are really, really not good. You know, and I really don't know where the MCU is supposed to go with this movie. You know, my showing is at like 2:15. I need to head out in just a moment here. There's going to be like, 10 minutes of previews, and I'm going to end up basically just, you know, getting some snacks and then going in there. But for me personally, I don't really know what I'm supposed to expect from this movie. Like, I didn't go in expecting like I'm not going to like it. Like, the trailers were pretty cool, you know, but you guys know how trailers are. Like, trailers could either be like the worst thing or the best thing for a movie. Like, you can get good trailer, bad movie, good trailer. The trailers for this movie were pretty overall not that bad. Like, the Rotten Tomato score was like 90%, 95%, which is insane. You know, that means it's higher. That means it's even more highly rated than like Black Panther, honestly. So, you know, but that movie has various overrated qualities about it too. So, yeah, just going into this, I really don't know what I'm supposed to expect here. I don't know how they're going to beat Sentry. It's probably going to be some, like, anime protagonist plot armor level bullshit, but that kind of exists in the comic book realm, you know? Also, I know I haven't been able to do, like, this series in quite some time, and I will try my best to add in more episodes for this series, not just for like superhero movies, but you guys know in the very first episodes of this, I did it for other random movies too. That's what I want this series to be, like, not just superhero movies for the most part, just, you know, other random movies that I'm interested in going to see. So I would have did 2 episodes in this series this week, but given that we're going to watch Thunderbolts, we're going to do a Thunderbolts open spoiler discussion probably on Saturday, so I wouldn't have the chance to go back to the theater this Saturday. But the MSK show doesn't really run on Saturdays unless I have a one-on-one scheduled, and it's mostly just a game stream. So Saturdays, for the most part, outside of Thursdays, I can basically go to the theaters and watch something. So, I'm not saying expect this series to have like a episode in it every single week, or even maybe every 2 weeks. Just you will get them more often than not, but it just depends on what I'm interested in seeing. And I do like going to the theater and having an experience at the theater. So I do end up having to head out. I gotta go get to my showing. It's gonna end up starting around 2:15. And yeah, I hope this movie is good. I mean, I don't want to go and watch a bad movie, so that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys in the next part when I'm going to be at the theater, and I'll give you guys, if you guys haven't watched the series, essentially it goes, I do this right here. Then when I'm at the theater, I give you guys like, hey, I'm going to end up watching this movie. Here's my thoughts and what I'm going to expect going in. Out of the theater reaction, and then I'm going to give you guys the spoiler-free movie review of Thunderbolts after I end up watching it, because I have to watch this right now at this time because I'm very, very busy today. And if I don't watch it at this time, I would have to watch it like 4, and that's not really feasible when I have the Cloud9 podcast and the MSK show up later. So we'll see you guys in the next part. Peace. I am at my movie theater finally getting ready to see Thunderbolts. So I was supposed to be here at 2:15 for that showing, but what ended up happening was after I had finished recording the first part for this episode of Full Day of Going to the Movie Theater, I headed out of my house and, literally walked downstairs, went out the front door, and then I literally got like 5 feet, and then I realized I was wearing my sweatpants, and then the tripod that I use for episodes like Full Day of Going to the Movie Theater and, comic book hauls and the random vlogs that I'll do, that fell out of my sweatpants, and then it broke. So I have to end up replacing that. And then I tried to head out early to go to like a Dollar Tree to see if they had one, like one of those like dollar, foam tripods, but nope, they didn't have one. And I thought I had an extra one, but it turns out I didn't. And I basically looked all around for it. So yeah, gonna have to just use my arm as a tripod for my phone for basically this part of the episode and the next part, but it's really not that bad. And then when I get home, I'll just prop this up like behind something and then just record. And then, when I get paid tomorrow, I'll just like go out and, get a new tripod for my phone. So that delayed me. And then I'm now here at the 4:45 showing. It's about 15 minutes for previews. And then I'm gonna get some nachos and like one of those ices, and then, end up coming outside and doing the quick out of the theater movie review, and then go home and give you guys my spoiler-free movie review on Thunderbolts, and we'll have the open spoiler discussion for it on Saturday. But yeah, not having a tripod for this is pretty much tiring my arm out, so I'm gonna go in there and see the movie and let you guys know what I think about it for my quick reactions of it when I get outside after finishing watching Thunderbolts. Maybe Florence Pugh's Yelena character get her fucking back blown out by a black dude in the movie. One would hope, right? All right, see you guys in a bit. I just got out of my movie theater watching Thunderbolts. It was a rather interesting experience. I actually enjoyed watching this movie more than Captain America Brave New World, at least. There is actually a lot to go over when we do the open spoiler discussion for it on Saturday, if I can get that going for the MSK show. But yeah, it does kind of spoil the ending of Fantastic Four coming out later in this year. That's coming out in July. It's a fun experience. I'll just say that. Well, I think I got laid in there, actually. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, Yelena's pretty hot. That's really all it is. There's Bucky too. It was pretty fun. I mean, fucking hell. What was that chick's name? Ghost. She was there. So yeah. Next part of the episode, I'm going to give you guys my spoiler-free movie review of Thunderbolts. So, see you guys in the next part. So, I just got back from the movie theater after watching Thunderbolts, the 36th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And now, for the final part of the vlog, to end the vlog, I will be giving you guys my Thunderbolts spoiler-free movie review. So, how does the Thunderbolts as a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie stack up compared to the rest of the really mediocre and trash previous Marvel Cinematic Universe movies? So the only Marvel Cinematic Universe movies that I have enjoyed basically since they started Phase 4 was Spider-Man No Way Home and Deadpool and Wolverine, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 I haven't seen yet. And that those two right there are the only movies that I really enjoyed. I mean, Shang-Chi was all right. It wasn't like anything truly offensive, but that one was just kind of all right. This is probably one of the better MCU movies that they've released basically, since Phase 4, because Thunderbolts, as the 36th film of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, ends Phase 5. So basically, going into this Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, if I'm being completely honest, just basically from like the people I talked to and seeing like the interactions that it got on social media and just skimming through some of the trailers on YouTube to see like what people were saying in the comment section, no one was really expecting anything out of this movie because no one really knew what was going to go on in the movie, honestly. Like when we saw like the first few trailers for it, we kind of got the idea of what this movie was going to be. So basically, my mindset going into watching this movie was basically literally just entertain me, because as we know right now with the current Marvel Cinematic Universe starting with Phase 4 along with the TV shows on Disney Plus, basically entertaining, us as, fans of the MCU has really not been what they've been doing. They've been doing a lot of dog shit. I mean, literally, Thor Love and Thunder quite literally might be one of the worst superhero movies I've ever seen and one of the worst MCU movies. They weren't entertaining you with that. That was just trash. So what about this movie is actually going to be something that I will say to you guys in a very spoiler-free fashion that is going to get the point across for what this movie actually is. So I will say this. If you've actually watched the trailers for this movie, whether you watch the teasers or the big game trailer or like the final second trailer they put out, you basically already saw the entire movie. And like, that's something that I've been having a massive problem with a lot of these like recent movies, is like you basically see everything in the trailers and you're not gonna really be surprised at anything that happens in the movie if you've already seen the trailers. And there are various things that you guys were right about when we were, doing, the MSK show, but I'm not going to spoil them because I want you to be surprised. But we were basically right about two major things, which is good. They're very good things, honestly. So in my own personal opinion, this should be kind of what the MCU movie should strive to be, right? This was a enjoyable popcorn movie, if you guys can kind of understand what I'm saying there. This is kind of like if you mixed Fast and Furious with like the MCU, if they did like a Dragon Ball Z fusion dance. Because with kind of me giving you guys that analogy, I'll further go into that. So like Fast and Furious movies, as enjoyable as they are, as very popcorn movies as they can be, because they're truly some of the most popcorn movies of all time, and they're guilty pleasure movies, this movie doesn't really have a plot, if I'm being completely honest here. There really is no plot. You're just kind of relying on the actors and actresses, and you're relying on the action, and the plot just kind of moves forward at this like weird pace. And I feel like the first act was rather slow, but I felt like when it got into the second and third acts, it really did kind of pick up. Like the third act didn't end up like dragging. It wrapped up fairly quick, honestly. This movie's only 2 hours and 6 minutes. And basically when I got to my movie theater, I, got my chili cheese nachos, icy, and then right when I walked in, they basically started it. And, this is something that I've always kind of ragged on movies for recently, is basically just kind of like, hey, when I get there at the theater, I just want the movie to start. Let's get into it, right? So there are good things about this movie, but there are also some letdowns as well. Namely, Yelena as a main character. So I feel like throughout most of the movie, she was fine, and it wasn't like a horrible main character for an MCU movie. I felt like she kind of led the movie in a bit better of a fashion than like some of the previous MCU movies have been with some of their lead actors, honestly. I think she can kind of be in that same category as Sam Wilson, Captain America. Like, she could do a very, very good job, but the material that she's given really doesn't let her shine. I feel like a better leading man for this movie would have just been Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes. It felt like right when he was on screen, he just kind of took over with his charisma, actually. One of the main villains of this movie is, good lord, it's that one lady. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to, look up her name really quickly. I'm sorry, guys. I literally forget her name. She says it all throughout the movie. It's basically the lady who's trying to be Nick Fury, honestly. Let me get her name really quickly. Really quickly. Good lord. Oh my goodness. I can't believe Valentina. So, Valentina, as the main villain of the movie, is actually not that bad. I honestly felt like her being the first main villain of the movie worked very fine, honestly. She kind of played this whole, like, cunning role that a lot of these kind of characters play, and they're not going to really ever get in trouble, but there's kind of like people always onto them. Then the true main villain of the movie finally comes out toward the very end of the movie, as you guys already saw in the trailers, actually. And this villain was really, really powerful. I mean, they pretty much beat the villain kind of in the way that you were thinking. Like, if you ever watched Naruto Shippuden and you saw what Naruto did to get Obito to be on their side or to get him to stop doing what he was doing, that's pretty much what happened at the end of the movie, honestly. But if you guys don't get that reference, then, you'll know when you watch the movie, honestly. It's an anime thing with Naruto. It's a certain joke, honestly. It's a running gag throughout the anime when it comes to, like, the big villains or whatever, right? So the other thing about the movie that I just didn't really care for was the character of Ghost. I felt like I feel like her acting was just not that good. Like, she was rather just meh, honestly. The actor they got to portray Sentry was very good. I felt like this actor did a better job in my head than I was thinking than someone like Stephen Young, who was supposed to get the role. The action was very good. I feel like the dialogue was actually very good. Like, this is an MCU movie where they don't let the humor always take over. This is an MCU movie where they do let it kind of simmer, actually. You're not just getting constant jokes. And I feel like the tone, the dialogue, the action, the overall just fun atmosphere of the movie, and then it had a nice little serious balanced tone to it, was great, honestly, to see. And this, in my opinion, should be the kind of MCU movie you're striving for, because there really isn't a plot here, if I'm being completely honest here, but I do feel like the other elements of the film really carried it. Is this a movie that you could see yourself justifying to go to the movie theater and spend the money on? You know what? This is an MCU movie that I would say, yeah, if you went to the movie theater and you watched it, I do feel like you guys would have a good time. But this also is an MCU movie where if you're someone that's like, really like plot orientated, you're like a plot movie guy, I wouldn't say watch this because this will probably cause you to go insane. But I would say this is more of a better watch at the movie theater than Captain America Brave New World, right? And I also feel like throughout the movie, there was this sense of the other character that was portraying, you guys know who it is. There was depth there. There was like actual character development with a lot of these characters through something that I thought the MCU needed to do a while ago, honestly. Like, there's stuff in this movie I've wanted the MCU to do countless times, and they actually did it. Now, there's one missed opportunity in the third act when it comes to that, but that's kind of just me going over what I thought in my head when I saw the movie. So, post-credit scenes. The first post-credit scene is useless. I don't know why they kind of do these useless post-credit scenes. The only post-credit scene you need to watch is the very final one, because the first one is just nonsensical gag shit, honestly, in my opinion. But I will say this right now. The second post-credit scene is actually a spoiler for the Fantastic Four coming up later in this year in July. That is what I'll say. But overall, it's a fun, enjoyable popcorn movie. That's kind of all I was really looking for the MCU to do. You know, gone are the days of them putting together something very, very good as far as like story wise and all the other things I mentioned previously. But if this is kind of what they're going to be doing moving forward, I'll take this over what they were doing before. And that's kind of sad that this ends phase 5, because I do feel like they could take a lot of good out of this movie, but then work on, hey, we need to make these plots better. Like the plot in this movie was really just nothing. It's really not there at all. And it's kind of, there's things that get thrown out there in the plot, but then just get not talked about, not even mentioned later on. Like just half of it is it's very linear if you actually want to call it a plot, but that's kind of what I would make out of it, honestly. So yeah, basically Fast and Furious meets the Marvel Cinematic Universe is kind of what I would boil down for this movie if I'm talking about it in a spoiler-free fashion. So thank you guys for checking out this video. If you guys are returning viewers or new viewers, then please consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it and comment down below. Also, make sure you guys hit the notification bell. That way you guys can get notified on whenever I upload a brand new video or go live. I am MSK, aka Master Swag King, and we're going to sign out, guys. See you guys later. Peace.